shoulder surgery in his throwing arm. So hopefully, everything works out well for him. The one good thing about our team coming back is our offensive line is all intact. So we have our whole offensive line back intact, and sometimes that's the major important part. What we have to do is really find us, some running backs that can step up and replace Dewan Marshall and Davenport. Yeah, so. And then we look at our wideouts. We have Corey Sullivan back, who's been since we came here been a very, very good receiver, and we have to find someone to replace Tyrone Butterfield, which was an All-American great receiver for us. And you go down and you look at Ike Boone. Ike been an academic All-American, been a 3-year starter for us. Mac Nutt is another guy has great potential. Mike Thompson at tackle, and can't say anything about Benny Anderson, a guy who started off last season, then broke his foot, and then came back at mid-season and came back and played. So on our offense, it's kind of like really, really put together. You look on the defensive side of football, we got to replace 2 great football players, and that's Jarek Hillary and Daryl Hinton, the 2 safeties, 2 older guys. And then you look in our defensive line, you're talking about Eric McCray, which we lost. And what we do have, we have Lamar Carter back, who's been a OVC player, all-conference, all-American since I've been here, the 3 years I've been here. And we switched him to free safety, but we're probably going to end up switching him back to outside linebacker and hoping we can get somebody to fill in those voids.
And of course, your first game will be in the stadium.
Right.
And this will give you an opportunity to play before a large crowd. But, Coach, you've played since you came to Tennessee State University before a large number of people on many, many occasions. Let's talk about that, because certainly this new stadium will give you a new opportunity to have a larger crowd here. But talk about some of the other exploits that you've done in terms of your attendance.
Well, since we came here, I think when we came with a lot of emotion, a lot of curiosity. Everybody, really wanted to, see what this young coach was all about. And the only thing I asked was to give me an opportunity, and I think the people here in Nashville did that. And, I think about our first homecoming game. We set the highest attendance ever in a homecoming football game at Hale Stadium. And then we went down to Memphis and had the largest crowd they have ever had in that Memphis stadium. And at one time, we had the second largest crowd in the state of Tennessee last year. I mean, the Volunteers were first, and then we were number 2, and then the Orioles and Vanderbilt and the rest of them was fighting out the lower half. So, it has brought a lot of excitement here, and I'm looking for the same thing to happen when we move into the new stadium downtown.
And so, what is the attitude that some of the players have in reference to that new stadium?
Well, I think they're pretty excited, because you always can say, how many 1AA football teams play in an NFL football stadium? That's something that we really pushed during recruiting. We took our recruits over there, and everybody's, looking and just say, wow, and, when you play in an NFL stadium, you know that they'll be there kind of watching you, and, a lot of our guys' dreams is to play in the NFL. So, it gives the Orioles firsthand and look at our kids.
Coach, you talk about recruiting. Now, this is really about your first real recruiting team, is it not? Because you've been somewhat, I guess, skilled or fortunate to have been able to win an OVC championship without having had an opportunity really to recruit. Why don't you talk about that? That's an unusual kind of situation. Man.
Yeah, I came in an unusual situation. You think before I took the job, we had 3 different coaches here in the last 10 years, and we still had Coach Gillum kids, Coach Bill Thomas kids, and Coach Davis kids. So I had 3 different types of athletes into the program, and then when we came in, that was a 4th different kid. So every coach has different attitude, what he looks for in a recruit. So, that's something that I had to form the rest of the 3 groups into what I believe in, and that was a hard job, but we ended up getting them turned around here, and like you say, we did it in 3 and did a remarkable turnaround. I mean, we ended up had to get rid of football players and bring new ones in, but this is the typical year of LCole6 class right now, the 4th year that we're coming in now, and now I'll really see, what have I done as far as recruiting-wise?
Well, and of course, coming off of the OVC championship, Coach, I would imagine that there are many, many opportunities that are now available to Tennessee State University's football program simply because of being victorious in the Ohio Valley Conference. And as I think, as you've indicated earlier, many of the teams that that you defeated are now especially looking to play you again this year, and certainly they want to burst your bubble in a real sense. Now your first team, what's that first game? What's your first game?
Our first game is Alabama State. Ron Dickerson, who was the head coach at Temple University now, he's the head coach at Alabama State. So that'll be our first game on September the 5th.
Okay, very good. And of course, Coach, let us take this second commercial break, after which we'll come back and talk about some of the more recent developments in the athletic program at Tennessee State University. Thank you and welcome back to this final segment of the show today. We're talking to Coach Lawrence Cole, the head coach at Tennessee State University. And of course, Coach Cole, during this last segment, let's talk about some of the more recent developments in reference to the football program at Tennessee State University. And more specifically, let's have you to give us some information in reference to the NCAA sanctions that were imposed upon Tennessee State University quite recently, and the impact that you think that those sanctions might have on Tennessee State University and on your football program and your ability to be able to do what you have to do to repeat the OVC championship.
You know, it's always sometimes you have to pay a price, you know, to be a winner. And, you know, most times to be a winner, then there's always sour grapes on your program. And, you know, like you say, how we turned it around, you know, we had to make some major decisions in the program. And, you know, we had some unhappy campers in our camp and made some accusations to our program, which, you know, we still stands right now that none of that's true. Mm-hmm. But, you know, as far as impact on the program, I think, you know, if you're an honest person and you've seen what has taken place at Tennessee State and what kind of program, you know, since I've been here, then I think that's the reason why we're still successful. And I think we will always be successful, you know, just by what we're doing over there. We're not doing anything that any other school is not doing.
You know, Coach, you know, also I think quite recently you had a football camp. Let's talk about that, because I think that before we talk about the schedule and perhaps some of the other things that you like to talk about, but I think that that's important, and I think it says quite a bit in terms of what you and members of the football team are doing in terms of trying to reach out to the younger people. Let's talk about that free clinic that you are offering at Tennessee State University.
Well, we had, our coaches, we got together and we just figured, you know, since I came here, I felt that the community is Tennessee State University, and I still believe that you have to give back out to the community in just the way I've learned. I said, if you don't teach young men or students at Tennessee State how to give back, then they don't know, you know, how to do it. But what we ended up doing this year, we started a free camp. We're just charging $5. Kids get some free T-shirts. We give them meals. We give them free instructions about Tennessee State. We take them around the campus, see how pretty the campus is, and then what we're going to end up doing is give them a tour down to the new stadium. So what we're trying to do is put into their mind right now as a youngster, because sometimes a youngster adventures something big like Tennessee State University, when he becomes a senior, then, you know, when I end up going out there and recruiting, he always going to say, boy, I remember Coach Cole. So we're trying to plant that seed real young in these kids' mind. But also, we just want to, you know, be positive role models for them. So that's one of the reasons why we're doing this right now, and let them guys meet our players on our football team.
You know, let's talk about, over the last 3 minutes that we have here, let's talk about your schedule and some of the things that you see from your vantage point in reference to that schedule and some of the opportunities. We've got about 3 minutes. Let's give you that time to do that.
Well, we're going to have, you know, a pretty rough schedule. You know, since I've been here and some of the other previous coaches, it's another goal of mine and the team is that we haven't won our first game in, I think, 10 years. We haven't. Mm-hmm. So that's one of our primary goals this year to start the season is win the first game. And, you know, we got to go back down to play Jackson State. I'm quite sure they'll be ready. You know, they always say first time is a fluke, and now we got to turn around. We got to prove that to them. And then the other one is Florida A&M. You know, you go in our office, you always see this big picture I have in the wall, and it says when you come to Tennessee State, the first thing is to get a degree. Second thing is to beat Florida A&M, you know, and then it goes on down to win the conference and win the national championship. So our goal too is to beat Florida A&M this year.
And so you're looking with great anticipation to that Florida A&M game, and the belief that you're going to overcome Florida A&M this time.
Yeah, I mean, it's just so many times we've been right in the ball game, and then we just seems like we just give it away. And hopefully this year that it's going to be different with our kids.
Coach, this last minute and a half we have here, let us thank you before giving you an opportunity to make a final comment. Let us thank you for coming by and giving us that information. I think that in a real sense, we've had you, as we said earlier, each year since 1996, since you first came to Tennessee State University, and we can see the progression in the athletic program and in the football program. To start off where you started in '96 and to be successful in less than 3 years is really a tremendous accomplishment on your part, and your ability to be able to do that using a team that has been, the teams that were recruited by 3 or 4 other individuals also say something about your skill and your ability to be able to do what you've been able to do. And I think in a real sense, the camp that you've provided has given an opportunity for the community, because I think one of the things that you've always stressed has been the ability for your players to be present among the young people and et cetera. And I think that your camp, which you say is not a free camp because you're charging $5, but I think that camp, whatever you call it. And so over the last 30 seconds, let us have a final comment from you, Coach.
Well, you know, I'd just like to take my hat back off for this 1998 football team, you know, and I talk about it's a real pretty ring that the guys designed and ended up getting. But I want to just take my hat back off to that team again, and you know, want to just say thanks to those young guys. Because they did the impossible. You know, it made Tennessee State the first historic black college to win in a predominantly white conference. You know, they set history all across the United States, and I think that was very important. The last thing is for the team that's coming up this year and the people. You know, I'll tell the team this year that how they handle adversity is going to be very important.
And thank you, Coach. And of course, we'll be back with you again next week. Thank you, and good morning.